Monolith Productions is working on a new open-world Wonder Woman game. Though we've not had an official update in a while, the game appears to still be in development, as suggested by a leak several months ago. The Wonder Woman game is slated to be a single-player, open-world experience with an emphasis on action, adventure and storytelling. Though we know that the game will be set in the DC universe, we don't yet know what exactly this will entail. We do, however, know that the game will be including the Nemesis System, arguably the best feature from Monolith Productions' previous titles, which offers procedurally generated boss fights between enemies that meaningfully interact with one another, as part of a larger organization. Sad as it is that Gal Gadot won't be anywhere in sight, it does give us as the player a lot more leeway in how Wonder Woman's story unfolds. According to the publisher, the game will give us full reign to become Dinah of Themyscira in the fight to unite her Amazon family and the humans from the modern world. There's even word that the new Wonder Woman game might have branching narratives, giving Monolith's compelling Nemesis System another good. Narrative director Tony Elias posted a tweet earlier this year, hinting at its signature vengeance and retribution gameplay system might resurface to shape each player's game, reacting to the choices and enemies you make. In the request for a senior writer to join development, the job listing mentions procedural content, which includes procedural conversations and procedural dialogue. For those not in the know, Monolith Productions was responsible for a pair of well-received open-world action games set in the world of The Lord of the Rings. Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor and its sequel. Middle-earth: Shadow of War not only faithfully recreated Tolkien's beloved universe, but gave us an engaging storyline punctuated by thrilling action set pieces. Monolith's track record in this regard suggests good things for the upcoming Wonder Woman game. There is no Wonder Woman game release date as of yet. It was announced in December 2021 at the Game Awards, and all we know is that it's currently in production. Right now, it's looking likely that Wonder Woman will line up alongside Rocksteady's Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, as key games in the publisher's portfolio for 2024 and beyond. Monolith Productions hasn't confirmed when we'll get our hands on the Wonder Woman game, or which platforms it'll land on. But we can make an educated estimate that we won't see Wonder Woman until at least 2024. However, it's more likely that it'll arrive later, possibly landing on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. We could also see it arrive on PS4 and Xbox One, but that seems unlikely. Gotham Knights famously cancelled its last-gen editions, so we can't picture a game arriving much later making that leap. We imagine that, given the game's release is probably a while away, Monolith will be aiming to target the latest hardware, without being held back by the last generation of consoles. Much like Middle-earth: Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor, Monolith's upcoming Wonder Woman game will be a single-player open-world action game. The studio has only teased details of the story out so far, although we do know that this will be an original story set in the DC universe, rather than one which actively draws from the best Wonder Woman stories from the comics, or a piece of the broader Arkhamverse which many of Warner Bros. Games are set in. We also know that the Wonder Woman game will allow players to become Dinah of Themyscira in the fight to unite her Amazon family and the humans from the modern world. While the exact details of the story for Wonder Woman are unknown, we know that it will introduce an original story set in the DC universe, as announced during the reveal. This is even more likely considering James Gunn's plans for the DC universe to have Elseworlds, separate stories from his mainline narrative. Wonder Woman also uses the Nemesis System, developer Monolith's famous game mechanic. In its Middle-earth games, Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, the Nemesis System would allow players to create personal stories, by having defeated enemies return for vengeance, and others occasionally joining Talion and then some betraying him later on. This sets a good stage for Wonder Woman to advance the Nemesis System further, while still creating those interesting stories for players to have. As far as gameplay goes, Monolith has recently amped up its hiring, and job listings suggest it's working full tilt on a third-person action-adventure game, which is exactly what we'd hope to see from a Wonder Woman experience. The only thing we currently know about the Wonder Woman gameplay is that it is a single-player open-world adventure game, with Wonder Woman having to unite the Amazon family and humans. The most interesting aspect is the aforementioned Nemesis System. While it will likely change a bit from the Middle-earth series to reflect the fact that Wonder Woman doesn't usually kill unless she really needs to. Either that or the enemies in the game will be faceless creatures so that it won't matter if you kill them. However, similar to Monolith's last two games, we expect the Nemesis System to create some interesting rivals for you to deal with, for some very memorable moments. The system created a procedurally generated hierarchy across enemy orcs, giving them more personality than your standard grunts. Considering we don't know who Dinah will be facing, we don't yet know exactly how it will be implemented. Otherwise, the teaser trailer was purely cinematic and offered no real hints, beyond telling us Diana's returning home to face a new threat. All we otherwise have is this official statement from David Hewitt, Vice President and Studio Head at Monolith, who told us, "The stories our players share inspire us every day, and we are honored to take players on a unique personal journey, driven by the values embodied in Wonder Woman." The Nemesis system raised the bar for player-driven storytelling, and we're excited to push the open-world genre forward, combining cutting-edge action with inventive narratives to create a Wonder Woman game everyone will want to play. As Wonder Woman is in development from Monolith, the studio behind Middle-earth: Shadow of War, fans were wondering if the game would use its widely popular Nemesis system. Happily, it's been confirmed that the Wonder Woman game will use the Nemesis system, which should have interesting implications for gameplay. The Nemesis system mechanic allows players to influence the game's narrative in unique ways. Enemies will evolve and develop based on your actions, which means even the gruntiest grunt can work its way up enemy ranks and become your nemesis. In Middle-earth: Shadow of War, orcs would get promoted if they killed you, and they'd challenge each other to fight to death in order to try and climb the ranks higher. It's unclear how this system will be used in Wonder Woman, but it certainly makes things interesting. As reported by GamesRadar, Wonder Woman concept art has leaked online, showing character models for 3 characters in the upcoming superhero game. A developer at Monolith Productions was spotted with a piece of Wonder Woman concept art as their LinkedIn header image. It has since been removed. The upcoming Wonder Woman game will apparently have procedural storytelling. This was revealed in a tweet from the game's narrative director Tony Elias, who said that development studio Monolith is looking for a senior game writer to work on Wonder Woman. We currently don't know who Diana's main adversaries will be in the Wonder Woman game, but it's almost certain that we'll see some familiar faces from the DC universe. We're hoping that Ares is the primary villain in Monolith's title, with the likes of Cheetah, Giganta, Circe, and Dr. Psycho making appearances in some form, perhaps sitting just below Ares in the Nemesis system ranks. What's more likely, and actually makes more sense, is that Wonder Woman will take on Villainy Incorporated, as the Nemesis system would do a great job at capturing the villainous team dynamic. Sure, it's cheesy, but we would love to see Monolith, somehow, make Wonder Woman's invisible jet cool. Wonder Woman 1984 did, kind of, but it would be great to see the developer integrate the jet into gameplay in a way that doesn't feel shoehorned. One thing we've learned from recent superhero games is that how a hero feels to play is a make or break factor. We're hoping that Wonder Woman feels as strong as she is meant to be, with powerful melee attacks and of course, the ability to lasso of truth our enemies. Going off our last point, we would love to see Monolith adding haptic feedback and adaptive controller support to the Wonder Woman game, so we can really feel the tension in the lasso or the feel of kicking Cheetah in the face, hopefully. We're also expecting, more than hoping, Wonder Woman to have minimal loading screens despite being an open world title.